It's a pleasure to be here. This is the first time that I'll be presenting at this event. I am very grateful for the invitation from Max Meller and the entire organizing committee and everybody that wrote so that I can be here. I am a doctor, a specialist in physical education. I work every day with children with cerebral palsy. I am basically clinical. I'm not an investigator. So you will see a part from the practice in the assistance with cerebral palsy children. These are the places where I work. I work at a hospital that's from a part of Argentina, very far. It is a reference hospital in high complexity in pediatrics, where we get many children with cerebral palsy. It is the reference hospital for cerebral palsy. We start from a very early age up to 15 or 16 years old. That is basically what we have on our patients, and at a clinic with a medical office that it has a private subsidy. And we have the type of treatment with, I don't have any conflict of interest in this talk. What you will see and hear in this session, it is related to my experience. And the objectives of this, or the goals of this talk, is to provide you with tools for all the professionals that work with cerebral palsy children, not only with people that come to this event, but yes, we all know that how type of equipment and what type of equipment every child needs in their development. The objective is to give you a guide of all of those that see patients or work with patients at one point with cerebral palsy. And doctors or therapists, they would have an organization guide of what type of equipment they need and why you need to be equipped in every development, every stage of development of the child. So with this, I started with the gross motor function classification system. The curves of the guidelines related to the motor skills according to their age and the development. Why is this important to have the children equipped? To give them functionality. We've heard that before, but giving them functionality and give these children to participate and have experiences of childhood experiences, and to share with their parents, and the negativity that this brings with low mobility on these children, that children that don't have normal development, and it's proven that it brings consequences in other aspects of their life based on their development of the children, not only in motor skills, but also intellectual and their sensory abilities. Also, we don't take much into account what happens with the caretaker when this child does not have the proper equipment. They're more dependent. They don't have all the possibilities to work or to give their maximum potential. So much of these references are given in the symposium, has been given at this type of events. It's what happens to the adult and more or less with the patient. There's a new paradigm. Well, it's not as new, but it is some of us that are not immersed into the equipment for children, or when I began with this type of work, I always tell my patients I work at a center where it teaches doctors and therapists, and we have residents with functionality and kinesiology, and I have to speak a little slower because I'm being translated. So we always thought that a few years ago, some of the older schools still have it, and we have to take into account that when children with their they have to be equipped at an early stage more than what we're used to. Children that are able to walk, we're not prescribed child wheelchairs. That's a paradigm that 15 years ago, it's not like this, but it continues to happen. If the child walks, even if he limps or drags his feet, he will be picked up by his mom, and they die trying. And it continues to happen. So the motivation, those children that don't have the soft proportion, so we don't really think of how to motorize these children. They are forgotten because they are children and they can propose their own wheelchair. The mom or the caretaker proposes their wheelchair. And these children that have the possibility, we have to think it's not most, but we have to think of their motorized, so it is a tool for them to work with. Well, why did we want to do this blueprint of this equipment for cerebral palsy children? Why? Because there's so much available for the pediatric patient, because this is part of the therapeutic tool. Just like the therapies for motor skills or specific education or surgeries, the equipment is part of that treatment of the patient. So it is proven that this equipment brings a better quality of life for these children, and that children need different type of equipment in different environments. And we have to have the proper timing when this prescription is given. And the GMF, that classification in the gross motors, it is a predictor so that we're able to work over this type of prescriptions or equipment that we are seeking to get. And trying to get all this together, I developed, along with a lot of people that were supporting me and working with me, this was my development, but most of my patients and colleagues that work with me, all the talks that I've heard, people that provide equipment, and we always learn every time we interact. We always learn out of something. And so that brought me, after 30 years of experience, to have some abilities that I would like to share so that you can work together. For this, I was basing it in the curves of the motor growth curve that Rosenbaum developed in 2002, where he predicts, at what average development and what type of equipment they need after 6 years old. So these graphics or these schemes were prepared after the GMFS, FCS, and those were presented after 6 years old. We cannot use this graph for children under 13. A child under 2 is not going to have this type of force. So here, using these curves, I developed these guidelines using the equipment guidelines using GMFS, and these are the PROV curve, and each child comes in their own curve. Hold on one second. Each level is developed in a general curve, and then we'll see it individually afterwards, but each one each curve is represented in a different color, and it depends on that the green color that you will see here in the 5 levels. It is related to the nesses and splints. The purple one is for all the devices, postural devices. The red one is for walking aids. And the yellow one is for the posture wheelchairs, posture wheelchairs and self-propelled. The blue ones are for propelled manual wheelchairs, and the orange is for motor devices. And that's the one that was reduced in each level to be able to represent graphically what the child will need in each level. Within each group, we have the development of each category that I've implemented in this curve. Obviously, I put them together, grouped them in 6 items that are here, but these we have the ortheses and splints, we have the lower limbs, and the ortheses, soft ortheses. And in the postural devices is the soft postural elements, standing, and the bathing devices. In the walking aids, that are on red, I will be putting the colors to give you credits. The idea for the colors is so that you can make a graph to easily. It is a little bit complex on the curves. The transfer eye, the dependent chairs, and the wheelchairs that are or the medical stroller, and then these self-propelled wheelchairs and the motorized devices. The self-propelled wheelchairs, some are here with the system. It is the supports, the pillows, and the supports, and the self-propelled wheelchairs, and those are compact chairs, and the sports wheelchairs. And the motorized devices are motorized wheelchairs, motorization systems, and self-propelled wheelchairs. And here we have, as we classify each category, then we put them in those groups in this type of orthesis. These are in what each one consists of. The development of these, we have a graph where each level would have each category and when it's needed or never required. This is related to the ortheses and braces, and the lower on there we have the fabricated made by hand. In this guide, we don't always have work with commercial products, but all those products that are handmade, artisan made, and orthopedic. But we also use different type of equipment that is commercial. Let's say we can get it at a baby store, and a lot of it is artisan that we do with orthopedic, either the occupational therapists make or even the parents. As far as the devices for posture, this is a category that is not well used, or not as much used as those professionals that we use, those patients that have cerebral palsy from early age. This is extremely important that you take this into consideration for every activity, well trained at all ages for the children. In general, we don't talk much about this, but it's key so that we can have better possibility for posture in more sophisticated elements or with high technology. Another one of these devices is the assistance for walking, or walking aids, are the ones that have posterior and or more.
This is the wheelchair that we are putting in. Like, other function is just to move around where the kid is not gonna stay too long. This one, medical stroller, the difference is like in between the posture and moving around. These are the different chairs. They are, let's gonna say, they are a stroller, medical stroller with a specific characteristic, and you cannot modify that much. That you cannot like transport them or make them lighter than those other that don't have any other modification possibilities. Then for the posture, we consider the primary, like the pillows, and the posterior devices, and the anteriors, with all these, and the lateral, that also you have here, they are primary and secondary seated postures devices. And talking about the self-propulsion chairs, propel, you have the one that are the one that you can are standable or no. The pediatric chairs that are standable, some models for very little children, and you can apply this to a light kid, light chair, and then the sports wheelchair. These are wheelchairs that are designed and manufactured for each activity. And then the difference is there for the self-propelled side folding chairs. Now, what happened at each level? The kids in level 1 are the ones that are able to walk without assistance. They can go up and down, up the stairs with something in their hands. But when they go at a level or when they have to jump, they have some difficulties. They don't have too much equipment with mobility, but they have equipment requiring, this line, the green one, in the first 2 years may require this or not. Between 2 and 12, they require this. And it's better if they go with the development to avoid malformations. Level 2, you see kids that are walking freely, but they have problems to go up and down the stair without holding on to something, a bar, and then also up or down a small hill, depending on the age. Sometimes they take longer to walk. They are gonna need some type of a transportation system, like a stroller or something, and they can require some posture system. Some start walking with some direct assisted devices. Sometimes they need this for longer distances. And then it comes a point when they use it occasionally, depending on the surfaces, when the surfaces are not flat or when there is a lot of people around. Then in the level 3 is a different characteristic. They walk using handheld mobility device in most indoor settings. And when traveling long distance, children use some more form of wheelchair mobility. In a school, the community, depending on the special characteristic of each children. There are kids that will require the self-propulsion wheelchairs and assisted devices. The kids in level 4 they have difficulties. They cannot by themselves. Children are transported in a manual wheelchair or use mobility in most settings, and they need multi-control walkers, and children require adaptive seating for trunk and pelvic control. They may walk for short distance at home with physical challenges. They can use independent mobility if they manage to use a wheelchair, motorized wheelchair. There are patients that will require high level of posture because they don't have control in their body, because their control in their body is not enough. And then in the torso is where you see here the levels. When we go to kids in level 5, they depend in somebody else to be transported. Children are transported in a manual wheelchair in all settings. They have multiple control system and the therapeutic more functionality that we can give. They cannot go unless supervision, high supervision, and depending on the environment, their personality. The consideration, special consideration about equipment blueprint is the type of cerebral palsy, the diagnosis, the topography, the age is important. Everything that I'm showing you, depending on the age, what they are requiring, the presence of the active epilepsy, presence of intellectual impairment, presence of a speech impairment, presence of a vision impairment. There is some work that they say that the intellectual level more for the epilepsy, but compromise intellectual, and they don't have interfering with the final tools, devices, so that they can be mobile or in posture or transported. This is new. We go back to the same graphic that I was showing you before. There is a lot of work about strategies that we use in rehabilitation, and the work in the I cannot find the word in Spanish. All the equipment is still in the yellow line, even to the orthesis. We are thinking that we need to investigate or show different things. There is a lot of critics about this work in 2000 done in 2019, because when you see the red, they are pretty upset here down here. And of course, everything that we do is based in SIF and the works with F that we all have to take under account. Fitness, friends, function, family, fun. All this is going to be published in a guide where it's going to be explained all these different curves that I show you, how you translate this and the products of support in category by age and level applied to each patient specific. What is recommended and maybe required or not, but is divided by different categories. The classification I showed was global, but then each category has different equipment that we can use. This has taken a lot of work for us, so that we need to get out of the market and talk about the products, the original product. getting out all the brands. This was the biggest challenge for me. And then the other proposal is that we want a catalog, integrated catalog, where a professional that is taking care, assisting these children can see all the different categories. In each category, what a kid referring to these curves, all the options out there in the market are able to be made, so that is the necessity that nowadays we are having in Argentina. I get a lot of calls from people that they left the place of work where they ask, is this the same or the same? Well, sometimes they are products, similar products, same category, but a different brand. So these are tools that will help so that everybody can work freely and trust in what you are doing without having that fear or asking for help to who you are not supposed to ask for help. And the most important, support all the professionals about the requirements for financing, a guide, a tool, so that the finance team know when they have to provide some type of equipment that is not proven or read. If you already have a walker, why do you need a wheelchair? Why, if you have a propulsion wheelchair, why do you need a motorized one? This happens a lot. For one piece of equipment for them is enough. It is proven that patients in level 1 not need as much equipment as those in level 5 that need 10 pieces of equipment. Thank you very much. This is everything I wanted to talk to you about. All questions?